Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. I love Friday. It's my favorite day. Okay, so I am glad to be here. It's Friday, and every Friday I'm coming to you live in Pursue Your Potential Inner Circle for a live question and answer. So I'm the only one here so far. I'm going to keep an eye on my trusty phone. But if anybody else joins us, then welcome, and I will be happy to answer any questions. And then you can also find the link below in the previous post. You're welcome to join me on bluejeans.com. Just enter that ID number, and your name, your face, and your voice can join us as well. So it's a little boost rather than just the Facebook Live where all you can do is message. If you join in at 10 o'clock on the link I provide below, you can join me face-to-face virtually. So I'd love to have you do that. So again, like I promised, I am going to be here every Friday. Our group is growing and growing, and I'm going to be here every Friday until somebody joins me. So I'm setting a good example that you need to put in the work if you want to make your dreams come true, if you want to pursue your potential, if you want to pursue your vision. Then you just keep doing the work, keep taking those action steps to get there, and eventually you will manifest exactly what you're looking for, and your vision will start coming true. So my vision is that this group will grow and grow. I would love to see 1,000 people in this group. That is kind of my big milestone. We're almost up to 100 now, so I don't think it will take too long to get there. I'm really excited. I have not been very active in the group this last couple weeks, and I'm going to tell you why. And I also kind of want to say sorry, but not sorry. I am creating a podcast, so it's very exciting. My podcast is called Pursue Your Potential with Dr. Jenna, and it's going to launch in about a week. So on that note, today I want to talk about fear and how that has looked for me in this vision of creating this podcast. So let's talk about it. It's kind of scary, isn't it? Some of you have messaged me and said that one of the biggest things that holds you back from accomplishing your dreams or your vision is your sense of fear. And so I kind of want to just share with you what I have gone through over the last couple weeks in making this step come true, making this dream of being a podcaster come true. And I want to take you back to a time when I was only 8 years old. For some crazy reason, I ended up on this kids' talent show. And I couldn't sing and I couldn't dance. And I could not hold a beat, but I tried out for this talent show. And I did this dance routine, and my mom paid a dance teacher to go through a rehearsal with me and choreograph it. And so I got there and I performed my little audition, and a couple days later they called back and they said, well, your daughter can't really dance, which didn't come as a surprise to us, but they said we would like her to be a model on our show. And so here I was, is 8 years old, and I was being invited to model these outfits for this kids' talent show. And there were about 8 of us models total, and we would walk through during intermission. Well, this whole talent show was being recorded and was going to go on TV, like Cox Central or whatever the popular, like ABC, whatever the popular show was in our neighborhood or in our town in San Diego. It was going to be aired 5 Saturdays a week, and each Saturday would be a new episode. And so this was kind of a big deal. And I remember my mom asking me on our drive there, it was the first time I was going to be filmed, and I was going to be in front of all these people, and I was going to be modeling with strangers, these different kid outfits, and I had no idea what they were going to be. And I remember her asking me, "Aren't you nervous?" And at that moment, at 8 years old, I can still remember kind of diving deep down inside and searching for the answer for her, and really self-reflecting at a young age. I thought to myself, like, I was consciously aware of the question she was asking me, and I wanted to kind of reflect and figure out, I don't know, am I nervous? And I thought for a second, and I said, no, I don't get nervous. At 8 years old, I remember telling my mom, no, I don't get nervous. I was making a declaration at that moment that I had no reason to be nervous, even though most people in a scenario like that probably would be nervous. And so I felt like I just came from a really pure place where I now wish that, what do I wish? I wish that I could put that in every 8-year-old's head, or every 12-year-old's head, or every 17-year-old's head. What if our kids told themselves and realized the fact that no, they don't get nervous, there's nothing to be scared about, and they carried that through with them into adult years? Could you imagine if in your past there was no reason why you were ever scared? Could you imagine if you told yourself, no, I don't get nervous? So I want to take you to a place where growing up, I reflected back to that time when I was 8, and there were moments that I had to do something scary. I had to get on stage in front of a large audience, or I had to perform in front of the classroom, or something that involved a scenario where most people will get nervous and quiver. And I was really lucky, and I felt really, really fortunate that every time a situation would come up like that, I automatically took myself back to that moment when I was a child, and I said, no, I don't get nervous. I was declaring for myself that I don't get nervous. There's nothing to be nervous about. And so as this journey has unwinded and unfolded as I create this podcast, I'm now on episode 5, so it was really, really scary at first. And after I got finished filming the very first episode, I was like beating myself up. I felt really, really drained. I felt emotionally like just exhausted, because I put my all into it, and it took all of my extra energy out of me. And throughout the day, I was reflecting back to that podcast episode that I had recorded, and I tried, right after I filmed the first one, I tried to film the second one. And I was like flopping all over the place with the second episode, and I was tongue-tied, and I was saying stupid things. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Maybe I'm jumping into something that I'm not capable of doing. And I started telling myself these lies that didn't serve me. And I started telling myself like that I wasn't good enough, and that nobody's going to want to listen to me. And then at the end of the day, that night, so like 8 hours later, when I was all done with patients and I was, relaxing for the day, I thought, okay, I'm going to listen to podcast episode number 1. And I'm going to see if it's worth putting out there to the world, or if I need to completely redo it, or just say, never mind, I'm not going to be a podcaster. And it was a 30-minute episode, and I listened to it. And as I was listening to it, and I also record myself visually, so I was watching it. And I was trying to remove myself from being critical. Like, we're always our biggest critics. So I was very intentional about not criticizing this podcast episode. And I watched it as if I was an outsider, right? As if I was one of you watching me on a podcast, or listening to me on a podcast, or watching me on a webinar. And I loved it. I totally fell in love with it. It was perfect. Okay, it wasn't perfect. It was done, and it was as good as it could have been, and I wouldn't have changed anything. And I'm sharing this with you because I want to tell you that I want you to pay attention to those negative self-talk thoughts that you have. They don't serve us. And had I listened to those fear-based thoughts that I was putting in my head, I might not be sharing my message with the world. And although I need some refinement in the way that I share my message, and there is growth that's going to happen in this scenario, in this evolution as I grow and expand. But it was perfect, and I am so excited. When I turned it off, I almost had tears of gratitude. I was just so excited that I created something out of nothing, and I shared my message, and it might not be totally exciting, but I do feel like I'm getting momentum each and every episode that I create, and it's something that I become more and more proud of, and I go, you know what? I'm onto something. And after I watched the second episode, which I did redo because I totally fumbled the first time I recorded episode 2, I totally fumbled. And I started telling myself, from now on, I'm only going to create an episode when I feel inspired. I'm not going to force it, because after I recorded episode 1 and I made the rough draft of episode 2, I was forcing it. So I really don't think that creative energy should be forced. It should be more coming from within, and natural and organic. And so that's what I did. So I'm sharing all of this because in this group, Pursue Your Potential, I want you to go after it. Go after that thing that scares you. Tell yourself, like the 8-year-old Jenna told herself, tell yourself that you have nothing to be worried about. You have nothing to be nervous about, because you don't. I mean, honestly, think about it. What's the worst that can happen if you do X, Y, and Z? If you do these things that you're scared of, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? Honestly. So you might sweat a little bit. So you might fumble your words. So you might trip. So you might look silly. So what? So what? You're doing it. You're making your mark on this world. You are answering your calling. Just do it. And then do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And just remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to be you, and you have to be real. And that's what people love. So I can't wait to keep sharing my message. Just remember, done is better than perfect. So what? What's the worst that can happen? And tell yourself you don't have anything to be worried about, right? So that's my recommendation for you in conquering your fears. And just take it one day at a time, and just knock it out. And then you're going to start seeing that those things that you used to be scared about, you will laugh at yourself at the fact that you're even scared, that you were even scared of them, because you've grown and accomplished so much that you look back and go, gosh, what was I even worried about? Like, this is perfect. Everything's awesome, and I don't have anything to be worried about. So I'm going to leave you with that. Go conquer your fears, okay? Tonight is Friday, and it's date night. Every single Friday, my husband and I go on a date. It doesn't matter what's going on in our stressful lives. We go on a date on Friday, and we spend every waking minute with each other until Saturday morning at noon. We go out to coffee and breakfast on Saturday morning, and then at noon he goes and studies, and I go and go and do my side hustle. But tonight we're gonna go watch my favorite public speaker. His name is Dr. John DeMartini. You've probably heard of me mention him before. He is my absolute favorite speaker. He also used to be a chiropractor, but now he just travels the world speaking, reading, writing, and researching. So those are his highest values. All he ever wants to do are those 4 things, and he delegates everything else in his life that has to get done to someone else who wants to do it. So all he does is speak, travel, research, write, and read. And he even has a driver. He doesn't even, like, he travels the world on a ship, and he just goes wherever he wants. He's an amazing man. And tonight I talked my husband into, for our date night, to take me to his seminar tonight. And we actually decided to even take our teenagers as well, so that they can get a perspective on how to accomplish your dreams. Because, you know, my husband and I talk to them, and I think when it comes from someone other than your parents, you're a lot more willing and able to listen and process and absorb and even take action. And so we're going to take them and expose the teenagers to Dr. John DeMartini. Say that 10 times fast. And so tomorrow I'm going to do a podcast episode on what I take away from his seminar tonight. So I'm really excited about that. And I can't wait to become re-inspired by his message. He always has something good to say. And even if he said the same thing every time I go and hear him, I always take away something new and different and exciting. So I'll be sharing that with you all. And pay attention soon. I'm going to have a link up if you are wanting to be added to the list of emails, so that you can be emailed as soon as the podcast is up and running. I'll have that link posted up soon. So you guys have a great day, a great weekend, a happy Friday, and go pursue your potential and conquer your fears and start making your dream life come true. All right, until next time,